All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's doing great. So let's get right into it, shall we? As you all know, Soulmate Quotes was broken off from article reviews. I had to do it because it didn't make any sense. I was reviewing Soulmate Quotes, but with the same name as article reviews. So finally fixed that. 2 series. One's article reviews. The first one is Groundhogging, a very awesome stream a long time ago. I highly recommend you watch that again. It's a very important stream. And of course, the far more fun, relaxing Soulmate Quotes series. So let's get into episode 2 of article reviews. We're going to have to catch up on this series. So look forward to more of these, which are very interesting. For this episode 2, toxic relationships. It's everywhere these days, sadly. They've always existed, however, now more than ever. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this article from mindjournal.com. Are all romantic relationships somewhat toxic, or can we actually live together happily ever after? Well, they could be toxic to begin with, a certain level of toxicity, depending on the backgrounds of both partners. But is any relationship possible? It depends. It depends on how bad the state of both partners is. If one's worse than the other, arguments will happen. Disagreements and arguments will happen. It's part of the synchronicity process in the beginning of any relationship. Every relationship goes through the synchronicity process. Once you reach soulmate status in the very final end, there are no more arguments, but you can't get there overnight. So, as our relationships seem to become increasingly complicated and toxic with every passing day, it is crucial that we learn to identify toxic romantic signs. Love is a captivating force that pulls two souls together. All of us yearn for a genuine romantic relationship that will inspire us and make us happy. But there is often a darker side to every love story. And if you truly think about it, there is some element of toxicity in almost every romantic relationship. Naturally, however, the goal is to eliminate all toxicity. Keep that in mind. Today, let us embark on a journey to explore the intricacies of toxic romantic love and understand why all relationships are toxic. Well, again, in the beginning, yes and no. I mean, most relationships, they do have toxic components. Not all, actually. Some relationships are good to begin with and they become great, and then later soulmate material. But most have problems to work out, but it doesn't have to be labeled toxic. It depends. Just could be somewhat problematic, basic arguments, nothing extreme. Although quite a few relationships are extreme, so that's where the toxic nature happens there. Alright, so what is toxic romantic love? Love is a multifaceted emotion that can manifest in various ways. Toxic romantic love refers to a relationship dynamic where abusive behaviors and harmful patterns are prevalent, leading to emotional, psychological, and even physical harm to one or both partners. Not in every case. You have to remember this. Every case is different. However, yes, this is almost the majority of cases. Almost. You're talking about abuse. I mean, it's not always Okay. So, although there are some romantic relationships that are genuinely healthy, there you go. I like that. Thank you for saving your article. It is believed that almost all romantic relationships are somewhat toxic to varying degrees. That's debatable. However, it must be remembered that all couples fight and argue at times. That's agreeable. And it is a part of having open and healthy communication. Absolutely, 100%. Toxicity often creeps in when one or both partners become needy, controlling, dominating, or manipulative, whether to protect themselves, their partner, or their relationship. Well, these are desperate measures. It's okay to be needy, but not controlling, not dominating, not manipulative. It's okay to be needy because we want love to work. All right. And to some extent, it may be even seen as normal as long as such negative behaviors do not turn into a repetitive pattern. Exactly. Normal, the word normal refers to pattern. The word natural refers to our natural human behavior. Very important to distinguish the two. When toxicity is exhibited on a regular basis, it turns into abuse. Yes. If it's not corrected, then it will become abusive because one or both partners are not budging. And I can't stand when people say he's trying to change me. It depends. Are you an abusive person that needs to change for the better? Then you need to change. That is why it is essential to acknowledge toxic romantic signs, which can be present in all partnerships to some degree. Okay, we got it. They're kind of smudging that in a little too much. I understand what they're trying to say. Okay. How to identify toxic romantic signs in your relationship. Toxic romantic love can often be confused as passion. It depends. Passion is passion. Passion should feel healthy. It should feel wanted and comforting, okay? However, when left unaddressed, it can consume both you and your partner in your relationship. Here are some of the most common toxic romantic signs that you must be aware of, okay? Lack of communication. That's a big one. That's a big no-no. Communication is key. Proper communication is vital for a healthy relationship. When both partners are unable to openly express their needs, concerns, and limits, there can be misunderstandings and grudges leading to toxicity. Absolutely. I mean, if one or both partners doesn't want to understand each other completely, that's why I believe in a perfect relationship. Yes, you can achieve such a relationship if you iron out every single disagreement. And you have to throw away what you have to throw away. If it's a belief that's in the way, if it's a toxic behavior, if it's something negative that you insist on having that's going to ruin the relationship, then you should be willing to throw such things away. If you're not willing to throw such things away, then the relationship's going to fail. It's that easy. It's that simple. You can't have a car engine, for example, expect to run perfectly if it's not regularly checked by a mechanic. It's the same as a relationship. You got to iron out all negativity, all forms. And that's what I go over in my book and in my movie, all forms of negativity. Domineering behavior. A toxic relationship often involves domineering traits where one partner undermines the other's autonomy and personal development in an effort to gain power. It's 50-50. A healthy relationship is 50-50. She has to feel like a woman in control. You have to feel like a man in control. However, you guys both have the steering wheel, like it or not. If one is unfit to drive, then the other drives. It's just that easy, okay? You guys are both in the leadership role. So no machismo and no feminazi syndrome. All right, let us proceed here. Emotional manipulation usually implies, we're getting into the narcissistic category. Implies tactics such as guilt tripping, gaslighting, or playing mind games in order to gain control and power in a relationship. These negative approaches can erode trust levels and self-esteem of the victim. Absolutely. It has no place in a relationship. No form of manipulation. Jealousy and possessiveness. Yes, this is horrific. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect and trust. However, toxic romantic love can often involve insecurity and fear, which can lead to excessive jealousy, possessiveness, and a lack of freedom. Absolutely. Now, when you're in love, you kind of feel like you do belong to your partner and they belong to you, but this is in a very loving way. You guys are not each other's possession in that negative way. There's a very clear distinction between the two. One is indeed toxic and the other is very loving and giving. So, yeah, there's no place for that in a relationship, any of this type of behavior. However, trolls online, the losers online, they're all about jealousy and envy. And then they're going to want to possess you somehow. It's really creepy behavior. But that's what happens. Crazies online. Thank goodness I haven't run into anybody like that offline, though. It's like online is where the circus is at. Offline is where the real world is at. Disregard for boundaries. Healthy dynamics depend on being mindful of one's other's boundaries. Yeah, well, you gotta give yourself... I put this in my book, too. You have to give each other some space. Some private time. Don't smother your partner, unless they want to be smothered, but I highly doubt it. Everybody needs their personal space once in a while. Toxic relationships often violate personal boundaries, leading to feelings of discomfort and disrespect, depending. Constant criticism. Okay, but if it's constructive in a loving way, it's not necessarily criticism. It's feedback. So don't get that confused with criticism and feedback. They're two different things. And they are very commonly misunderstood and misused. Constructive feedback is often at the core of healthy personal growth. There you go. You see, it's just what I said. So this article is very well written because that's exactly what I just said without even looking at it. However, repetitive criticism without encouragement, support, and care can easily become toxic. It eats away one's self-confidence and fosters negativity within the relationship. Yeah, encouragement. You have to encourage your partner to change the way you would like them to change because they're supposed to want to change. They want to be your everything. If your partner's not willing to change for the better and to cater to your needs, then you're not going to go the distance. I'm sorry, but you're not trying to change your partner. You're just telling them what you need. And if they can't fulfill your needs, guess what? You will have a failed relationship. Sorry, that's the reality of it. We all have needs. There's no such thing as unconditional love. No such thing. Power struggles. Toxic relationships are characterized by continuous power struggles, where one or both partners wants to dominate the relationship. This constant power struggle kills trust, emotional connection, collaboration, and intimacy. Absolutely. There should be no power struggles. You guys are equals. End of story. Okay. Emotional and physical abuse. My goodness. In some instances, toxic relationships can become distorted into physical or emotional abuse. These behaviors can have severe consequences and should never be tolerated. Absolutely, they should never be tolerated. The consequences are very severe. Emotional and physical abuse will lead to a broken relationship. Codependency happens when one partner or both partners excessively rely on the other for emotional stability, personal identity, and self-worth, creating an imbalanced and unhealthy dynamic. Well, this is a little bit exaggerated. We both need each other, okay? It's not codependency. I kind of disagree with this here. Let me see where this can be taken in a bad way, perhaps. Well, you have to have self-worth and personal identity and emotional stability. what you get in creating balance with your partner. So what you get from your partner is in addition to that. So I guess that's what they're trying to say here, is that you should always have self-worth, personal identity, and emotional stability without your partner's assistance. Yeah, because that's what your partner wants from you, is confidence and self-control. All right. So, it is important to note that even though these toxic signs may be present in a romantic relationship, the severity and impact of them may differ greatly. Yes, that's key. It is very important to evaluate the general state of the relationship if need be, ask for support, or seek professional help. Remember, recognizing toxic romantic signs is the first step towards creating a healthier and more fulfilling partnership. Why all relationships are toxic to some extent? Well, no, don't misuse the word toxic once again. This is like really misusing the word toxic. Problematic to some extent. Not always toxic. That's an extreme in the abuse category. It may seem disheartening to suggest that all romantic relationships have some degree of toxicity. However, it is important to understand that human beings are imperfect. I disagree with that. You can reach perfection, and you might be perfect, but maybe your partner isn't. And relationships are a reflection of our imperfections. No, relationships are there to help us perfect ourselves. That's what the relationship's all about. You perfect yourself through the relationship by learning more about yourself and about each other, and they perfect themselves and you perfect each other. Perfection should always be the goal. Otherwise, you will fail in the future, like most people do. Here are a few reasons why all romantic relationships are toxic to varying degrees. Emotional vulnerability. The moment we open our heart to another person, there's a chance that we can experience suffering and disappointment. Well, that's a risk that if you're afraid to trust, then you're going to lose. You have a lot to lose in this life. Be very careful who you open up to, absolutely. But if it's your partner, you're going to have to. Just be in control of your emotions when you do. This vulnerability, however, may lead to toxic behaviors, which are actually self-defense mechanisms to protect ourselves from potential hurt. This is debatable. I don't know why they're going off on self-defense mechanisms to protect ourselves from potential hurt. It's up to you how vulnerable you want to be in the relationship, but that's your responsibility. Only you can gauge how vulnerable you should be, depending on the stages of growth. Unresolved past trauma, this is a big one. All of us carry some emotional baggage, right, some type of post-traumatic stress, but not necessarily a disorder. And past experiences, unresolved trauma can seep into our existing relationships, leading to the emergence of toxic patterns. It can. It's not guaranteed. Unless these wounds are addressed and healed, this will continuously breed toxicity in our romantic attachments. No, it's not guaranteed. It doesn't have to. I've seen people who have unresolved past traumas, but they're perfectly fine. To each their own. They deal with it however which way they can. It doesn't necessarily have to affect their relationships. That's a blanket statement. You got to be very careful with that. Unrealistic expectations. Well, what is unrealistic expectations? Because if you don't shoot for the stars, then you're going to get what you put into the relationship. Society often paints a romanticized picture of love fostering unrealistic expectations. Well, that's debatable. When reality falls short of these ideals, frustration and disappointment may breed toxicity, and partners struggle to meet unattainable standards. I disagree with that. Unrealistic it's going to happen overnight. But both partners need to shoot for the stars. That's just the end of that. Everything is realistic and possible if both partners are willing and able. Differences in values and needs. Everyone has different values and needs and desires as individuals. Hence, differences in opinion may arise even among the most compatible partners. These clashes can give rise to toxic dynamics if not managed with empathy, compromise, and open-mindedness. Now, one of the controversies with myself is I don't believe in compromise. I believe in getting exactly what you want. Otherwise, you'll never get what you want and you will be unhappy forever. Be very careful with the word compromise. Nobody should have to compromise. Love bends to everything. Love makes it happen. Period. End of story. Alright, takeaway. Though it may be disheartening at first to think that all romantic relationships are to some extent toxic, well, that's an opinion. It is important to look at it from a balanced perspective. Well, you're not being very balanced. You're using this blanket statement. You can't say all romantic relationships, otherwise it's not romantic if it's toxic. Hello? I mean, whoever wrote this article is really using that blanket statement. It's becoming annoying at this point. Like, that's not true, buddy. Not all, you're saying all romantic relationships. Being able to identify toxic romantic signs helps us build our relationships more consciously, promoting healthier dynamics. Why does he say toxic romantic? Those repel against each other. That does not go together. Like peanut butter and jelly. That does not go together. That's like oil and water right there. Remember, awareness is the first step towards fostering healthier and more fulfilling romantic connections. Okay. My goodness. Okay. Are all relationships a little toxic? Perhaps. But there are some relationships that are truly healthy and positive. Okay, they finally say that. What I've been saying in the beginning. Healthy relationships prioritize mutual respect, communication, and growth, devoid of toxicity. Thank you. Why are all my romantic relationships toxic? Well, it could be bad luck, but among other things, maybe you don't know how to choose the right partner. Self-reflection and communication may unveil patterns contributing to toxic dynamics in romantic relationships. Why do relationships become so toxic? Toxicity in romantic relationships can arise due to unresolved issues. Absolutely. Lack of communication and unhealthy patterns. Absolutely. No disagreements there. Everything must be squashed, as I said before. Everything must be squashed. Alright, so let's take a look at a few charts. Healthy love versus unhealthy love. Healthy love allows for individuality, brings out partner's best qualities, accepts endings. Endings? I don't know what's meant there. Experiences openness to change. Good. That's a very important one. Invites growth in the partner. Experiences true intimacy. Finds pleasure in giving and receiving. Very important. That should be number one. Does not try to change partner. Now, that's... No, because if you're open to change, then your partner doesn't feel like they're being forced to change. That's a contradiction. This is not really well written. Does not try to control partner. There you go. That's more like it. Change and control are two different things, buddy. Accepts limitations of self and partner. Yeah, but you have to want to improve. Where's the improve part? I mean, you can't accept limitations. You have to be willing to improve. If you have limitations, otherwise you're not going to make it. Does not seek unconditional love. Wait. Healthy love does not seek unconditional love. That's true, right? Because I'm saying that love is always conditional. The fact is, love is always conditional. So I think that's correct, the way they worded it. I don't know. Has individual high self-esteem. Trust the memory of the partner. I'm not sure what they're trying to say there. Expresses feelings spontaneously, if they're good feelings. Welcomes affection and closeness. Believes in equality, yes, but also in improving yourself and your partner. That needs to be in there. That needs to really seriously be in there. Alright, so unhealthy love. Feelings consumed in the relationship. What? Extremely afraid to let go. Well, you shouldn't want to let go of your partner. This is really poorly written. They're trying to sound smart in this list. I'm catching all the flaws. Excessive fear or of risk or change. Okay, see? So that's correct, but in the first one you're like, "Oh, okay." So I mean, there are some contradictions in these lists. Little individual growth. There you go. Few truly intimate experiences, right? Playing mind games, trying to get something by giving. Well, you should always expect something by giving. It's a give and take relationship. Otherwise, it's going to fail. If they don't give to you, if you're not receiving as much as you're giving, then it's not a loving relationship. It's not a loving relationship at all. Give and take is like the center of any relationship. You should feel the pleasure of giving, and if you're not receiving, then they're not having the pleasure of giving. We're not talking about materialistic items, by the way. Trying to change people, no, improve people, which is positive change. Needing others to feel secure and happy. Refusing to commit. Well, you see, you have to be able to commit in order to change for the better. So many contradictions. Repeatedly experience of negative feelings. Yeah, of course that's bad. Being afraid of affection and closeness. That is bad. Cares with excessive detachment. Frequent playing of power games. Looking to others for self-worth. Okay. Soulmates are people who bring out the best in you. Absolutely. Which is all about commitment. They are not perfect. Oh my goodness. So cringe. But they are always perfect for you. Okay? Yes, but that's perfection. That's being perfect. What the heck is wrong with saying perfection? This is what people's problems are. And then they whine and complain when their relationship fails because they're like, well, nobody's perfect. That's exactly why you failed. Because you didn't believe in the art of perfection, which does in fact exist. And if you don't go for perfection, you will fail. End of story. Let us proceed. 9 signs you are in a toxic relationship. They always bring up your past and judge you with it. They are controlling and won't let you be yourself. They are selfish. Everything is always about them. They don't care about your feelings. Yeah, all these are true so far. They want you to make them a priority, but they don't make you a priority. Oh my goodness. It is difficult to communicate with them. They never apologize for their mistakes. That's cowardice right there. They make you feel guilty when they are in the wrong. That's narcissistic right there. You never seem to get anything right when it comes to them. Everything you do is wrong. Not necessarily if it's positive, constructive criticism with all the love in the world. Don't confuse number 9 with, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. No, work on doing it right. Right means everybody wins. You're doing it perfectly, nothing more to complain about. That's what perfection's all about. Perfection is about attending to each other's needs and desires. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. We're talking about an entire lifetime and beyond, eternity without time. Do you have what it takes? That's the big question. Otherwise, you're just fooling around and you will die alone. And no, not everybody dies alone in this world. I can't stand it. I cringe when people say that. That's not true. When you love somebody, you never die alone. You will never, ever die alone if you have somebody in your heart and they have you in theirs. Period. You can leave a toxic relationship, but if you don't heal what attracted you to them, you will meet them again. The same demon, just a different person. Absolutely. And this goes with the episode 1 of Article Reviews, groundhogging. Because if you don't know how to choose the right partner, Groundhog Day. Precisely. Alright. So, let me check the chat right quick. Just to be fair, I don't expect really anything. Because when I say it all, nobody can really keep up. Nobody will dare ask me a question if I've actually said it all. Yep, I said it all. Excellent. Thanks for the thumbs up. Alright. So this concludes episode 2. Look forward to more article reviews in the near future. Perhaps even tomorrow again. Thank you so much for listening. And happy Friday tomorrow. Get ready to have a lot of fun. Weekend's coming fast.